What if I told you, last night in just 36 minutes, basketball history was rewritten? The buzzer hadn't even sounded before Caitlin Clark had already carved her name in neon. By the time the clock hit 0, she wasn't just a college legend anymore. She was the only player in WNBA history to drop 14 points, dish out 13 assists, and snatch 5 steals in a single game twice. Comment CC recordbreaker if you're ready to relive the shockwaves that rocked Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But that electrifying snapshot barely scratches the surface. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm taking you from the gyms where whispers of their rivalry first sparked, through the March Madness battles that defined them, into the locker room tension that set the stage, and all the way to that second quarter eruption that left the wings gasping. Buckle up, because this isn't just a game recap, it's a deep dive into a rivalry reborn, and how one performance might just change the WNBA forever. They first crossed paths as wide-eyed teenagers, two phenoms destined for collision long before the WNBA draft. In gymnasiums packed with scouts and parents, whispers swirled. Clark's shooting range is unreal, and Beckers reads defenses like an open book. Clark, with her pinpoint deep three confidence and court vision that seemed to telescope across the floor, embodied explosive potential. Beckers, by contrast, made every dribble look effortless. Her mid-range floater as sweet as a melody, her passes threading the needle even under double teams. Both ranked top 3 recruits nationally, but each brought a different promise. Clark would stretch you beyond the arc, Beckers would break you down with craft. Their paths even crossed in youth national teams. Sparks flew in U16 and U19 camps where teammates praised Clark's relentless work ethic and raved about Beckers' composure beyond her years. That high school genesis wasn't just about box scores, it was the seed of a saga that would follow them to college, fan forums, and eventually the pros. And it all started with those first electric encounters. Fast forward to March Madness. 2 programs built on tradition, but with different missions. At Iowa, Clark arrived like a meteor, tasked with elevating a program starved for a title and hungry to etch its name among the big dogs. At UConn, Beckers stepped into a dynasty already decorated with championships, where winning was family business and expectations were sky high. When brackets aligned, those first matchups were must-see TV. Electric deep bombs from Clark against Beckers' surgical drives. Every possession felt like a pendulum between 2 basketball philosophies. In those crucible games, Clark exploded for 41 points, single-handedly dismantling UConn's defense in that signature shooting clinic. Beckers countered with calm, methodical scoring, slicing through help defenses and finding shooters on the perimeter. Over 3 epic face-offs, Clark's Hawkeyes edged out the Huskies twice. But the true victory was the rivalry itself. Comment threads lit up with marching orders, Team Clark versus Team Beckers, and analysts debated whose style would thrive in the pros. Those college battles gave fans a taste of the drama to come, and left more questions than answers about who would emerge victorious once the WNBA lights turned on. As draft night loomed, the chatter shifted from college stat lines to pro readiness. Gino Auriemma questioned Clark's shot selection under physical pressure, sparking headlines, "Can deep-range markswomanship survive WNBA bruisers?" Meanwhile, Diana Taurasi, ever blunt, warned of a rude awakening, suggesting Clark might buckle against pro athleticism. On the flip side, Beckers' fundamentals drew praise. "She's pro from day one," read insider tweets, pointing to her mid-range consistency and court IQ. Scouts publicly debated, would Clark's range expand floor space? Or would she struggle in traffic? Would Beckers outwork everyone? Or lack the one-on-one pop that fans crave? Clark took the barbs in stride, posting on social media, "Slumps are temporary. Work is forever. Just ask Steph." Beckers focused on her routine, film study, extra shooting, defensive drills, projecting quiet confidence. When Indiana held the #1 pick, it felt like a destined matchup. A team willing to rebuild around Clark's playmaking, and a wing squad banking on Beckers' polished polish. The stage was set, but nobody could predict just how explosive that pro meeting would become. The lead up to July 13th wasn't all hype and fanfare. Indiana limped into that marquee matchup at 11-10, having dropped games they should have won. Losses to the Sparks and the Valkyries stung, teams the Fever had on paper but couldn't close out. Rumors of friction echoed through locker room grapevines. Clark, clamoring for a faster pace, clashed with Coach Stephanie White's deliberate half-court scheme. Teammates whispered about erratic rotations. One night, Deladon supplanted Howard. The next, Howard pushed for more post touches. Injuries and comebacks, stars like Deladon and Datarius Dennis shuffled the lineup, undermined any continuity. Fans wondered if the Fever's core even believed in White's vision, or if the system strangled Clark's strengths. Yet behind the scenes, Clark doubled down. Extra conditioning drills, film breakdowns and transition sets, late-night breakdowns of pick-and-roll options. She believed the fast break was the key to unlocking the team. Still, question marks hovered. Would White adjust, or would tension derail what promised to be a signature moment for the franchise? Under sellout lights at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, ABC cameras rolled and the nation leaned in. The hype electric. Two generational talents, first pro face-off, with more eyeballs tuned in than many finals games. Home court energy throbbed. Fans wore split jerseys, half Hawkeyes gold, half Yukon blue, cheering for both sides of the showdown. National pundits predicted fireworks. Expect a fast-tempo slugfest. Defense will decide who can break first. Tip-off felt like a pay-per-view event. No preamble, no scouting report recap that wasn't already on your timeline. The only question, would Clark's playmaking or Becker's precision rule the night? With both wearing sleek new uniforms, Clark in candy apple red, Becker's in navy and lime, the stage was set. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. Every pass, every crossover could become an instant highlight. And as the referee's whistle echoed, the dream long foreseen finally came alive. Opening whistle, and it felt like a chess match. Clark probed the defense, tossing a no-look feed to Mitchell at the elbow. Beckers countered with a crafty drive, floating in a runner over two defenders. Both traded early buckets, but neither let the other break free. The wing zone sagged to limit Clark's three, forcing mid-range jumpers. Clark answered by flashing into the paint, dishing out quick kickouts. Beckers played her signature head and shoulders shimmy, pulling up for a mid-range dagger that drew applause even from Fever fans. Indiana eked out a 6-point advantage, but Dallas stayed poised. Every steal was met with a "let's go" chant. Each fast break chance raised the decibel level. By quarter's end, Clark had a modest 6 points and 4 assists. Beckers posted 8 efficient points. The pace felt slow, almost deliberate, as if both were holding back the storm. But if you sensed things were building, you were right, because the real explosion was just around the corner. Out of the huddle, Clark unleashed the fury. A first possession three for the logo sent the building into frenzy. On the next trip, she threaded a full-court touchdown pass that put Boston in the paint for an easy 2. What followed was a relentless blitz, 7 consecutive assists, 5 of them leading directly to plus-minus swings of 6 or more points. Every time Dallas scrambled, Clark probed another seam, finding Mitchell, sorry Boston, or slipping another no-look gem to Howard cutting baseline. The scoreboard lit up, 36 points in 10 minutes, Indiana outscoring Dallas by 21. Field goal percentage climbed over 75%. The Fever strung together a 33-9 run that had pundits gasping on live TV. Halftime, horn blared with a franchise record 64 points on the board. Commentators screeched over one another. Historic half, unreal ball movement. Clark is unstoppable. But amid the chaos, you saw something deeper. A team finally embracing Clark's vision. And if you thought that half was impressive, just wait for what happened next. By the time the final whistle sounded on a 102-83 route, Caitlin Clark had done more than pile up stats. She'd rewritten the record books. 14 efficient, unselfish points? Check. 13 assists that set teammates ablaze? Check. 5 steals, locking her in as the only player ever to hit that 14-13-5 trifecta twice. On defense, her anticipation looked preternatural, cutting off passing lanes, baiting dribbles, then sprinting coast to coast for easy buckets or outlet lobs. Offense and defense melded in perfect harmony. Meanwhile, her teammates flourished. Kelsey Mitchell erupted for 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting, extending her double-digit streak to 21 games. Natasha Howard moved like a gazelle to finish with 18 points on 9 shots. Aaliyah Boston bullied the paint for 13 points and 8 rebounds. Even role player shine, Sophie Cunningham added 13 off the bench and hit her 1,500th career point. The synergy was undeniable. Clark wasn't the lone star, she was the catalyst. And when history books tally WNBA legends, last night will stand out as her second seismic imprint. When the confetti floated down, critics were silenced. Paige Beckers, while efficient in her own right, never found an answer for Clark's multidimensional onslaught. Final line, fever victory, franchise records shattered, and one unassailable truth: Caitlin Clark belongs among the WNBA's elite. But this isn't an ending, it's a launching pad. What will Becker's response be when they meet again? Will she counter with fundamentals so pure they defy slumps? Will Clark push the pace even faster, daring defenses to keep up? One thing's for sure, the professional chapter of this rivalry has only begun, and it promises to get even wilder.
So comment CC Record Breaker, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if last night was any indication, the next showdown will shake the basketball world all over again.